minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special live episode of the Flash Podcast. I'm your host, Andy B, as always, and joining me today is my good friend Rebecca Johnson from Supergirl Radio. Hello, Rebecca. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm well. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for asking me to be with you.
Well, I'm always happy to have my other half of the world's finest, as we are on this network. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been over a week. Zack Snyder Justice League is finally out on HBO Max. I hope you watched it at this point, and you watched it several times because it's amazing. Because today we're so thrilled to have a very special guest with us, and he is a legend. He's and like if you don't know him today, you will know him. You will know from Zack Snyder Justice League. He's the man who brought Yuxes, aka Darkseid, to life in Zack Snyder Justice League. So it's my honor to welcome the amazing Ray Porter to the Flash Podcast. Ray, how are you doing today?
Thank you. What a lovely introduction. I hope I live up to it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Did we pronounce Uxas correctly? Do you know how to pronounce it?
I've been saying, like you said, Uxas. But I think honestly, anybody, you could, however you feel comfortable pronouncing it, there you go.
Yeah.
we always referred to it, in working, it was Uxas, but I think whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you grew up with, however you know that character's name, then that's yours. So,
well, when I was growing up, I didn't know until much later that Uxas was his birth name. So, but then during all these years as we were waiting for this film, Rebecca knows it. She and I went back and forth, like, how the hell is it pronounced? Like, there is no.
There was, most of the time, honestly, it was referred to as Baby Darkseid.
If we can have Baby Yoda, we can of course have Baby Darkseid.
Absolutely, I want the Mandalorian to carry me around.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But we're again so thankful to have you on. And again, it's been over a week since the film came out. So
yes.
But before we get to because I want to get to your origin story of how you got into acting. So what is imagine if this was issue 1 of the Ray Porter.
Oh dear! Sorry, the illustrations aren't any better. How did I get kind of started basically as an actor? It was always sort of the family business. My mother was an actor, singer, dancer, like Broadway, all sorts of stuff. My grandfather, her father, was involved with the circus and also with touring Broadway shows around the country. And so the theater and, show business and all that sort of stuff was always just sort of there. It was kind of the family business, it was like they made shoes, that's just what they did. I wasn't going to be an actor. I had designs on other things. Right up until nearly graduating high school, I was like, no, I want to do this. I want to do this. And then I went and saw a particular production of a play, and I left the theater that night and was like, yeah, no, I want to be an actor. And I had been in shows in, community theater in high school and all that sort of stuff anyway. So I went to the California Institute of the Arts here in Los Angeles, got a degree in acting, and went to work at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in 1990 and was there for 18 seasons. And in between, because there was an off season at the Shakespeare Festival, and I would do television shows and movies and whatever I could pick up in that short amount of time between seasons at OSF. Then around 2007, 2008, I permanently made the move here to LA, started in narrating audiobooks at the time, which was great because, you know, when you weren't working as an actor, you still had your hand in, you were still doing things, and it was kind of self-generating. And got to know Zach and Deborah and all of the sort of the people that regularly work with him. Starting with BVS. I wasn't in it, but knew them. And then was in England when they were filming Justice League. And Zack really prefers hearing scripts as opposed to reading them. And I understand, because especially when you get something as great as, you know, Chris Terrio's writing, it plays better on the ear, really, than even just sitting and reading it. And it's more engaging to hear people's voices. And so he would bring in myself and some other actors who were just around to read the script and to go through it. And then at one point he kind of, I don't even remember the day, but he was like, "Hey, can you do a voice for this character?" And I was like, "Well, let me think about it." And I knew what Darkseid looked like. And I just kind of made a choice, you know, as like, what would he sound like? And I did it. And a couple of adjustments here and there. And then suddenly I was told, "Hey, you're playing Darkseid." Okay. So I did, I went to do mocap with Kieran Hines, which is an attractive visual, thus in black lycra suits. But anyway, I did a lot of ADR, which is essentially recording, you know, wild like noises and stuff. So like the sounds that Uxas makes in the history lesson, you know, those battle sounds, that was, you know, a full day at a studio in London, grunting and, you know, okay, now sound like you got hurt. Okay. And then went back to LA with Peter Guinness and Kieran Hines, and we shot the bulk of our scenes with just cameras on our faces. We wore headgear that had these little cameras so that the VFX people could take our mouth movements and our expressions and kind of match to what was going on, you know, to make them more realistic. And yeah, and then I recorded a few additional things when it was getting ready to be shown on HBO Max, and I recorded them right here. So there, yeah, that's the journey of Darkseid.
Could you see, while you were watching the film Zack Snyder's Justice League, could you see yourself in Darkseid since they did the mocap with you? Could you spot yourself in there?
A little bit for sure. The way that I said certain lines, what my face did on some of those lines and that kind of thing. Yeah, I could kind of see it. There's a really, really great actor named Richard Citrone, who Zack works with quite a lot, who's very, he's kind of does also stunts and combat and fights and all sorts of stuff. So people have asked me, like, what mocap is me and what mocap is Richard Citrone? And my stock answer is, if it looks really cool, it's Richard Citrone. But I know that I did the jumping out of the thing and landing on Earth and scooping up a handful of it and then swinging that weapon down into the, you know, I did that. Again, I don't know if it was reshot with Richard doing the moves, but I did do that for mocap. And yeah, I mean, the thing that I liked so much about when I finally saw the movie is Kieran sounds like Kieran and Peter sounds like Peter and I sound like me. And there wasn't that much effect put on our voices. A little bit, I can hear, you know, a couple of little things that they did, but it's not like I recorded it and said the lines one way and then it came out in the film and I was like, whoa, wow. That's the voice I did for Darkseid. So I can do it, but I don't do it a lot because it's a little hard.
Were you at the when the boom tube opens? Like that's also you, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then there was a day when Zack had I think it was a volleyball, and he was rolling it towards me, and I was stopping it with my foot.
Yeah. That's how you did that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Steppenwolf.
I know, right? It was Wilson from Castaway. It was his second gig. He came out of retirement to do that. No, that's not.
Just to be crushed by Darkseid.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, nice.
Well, I because you talked about your how you got the role and so on, but like because I know you talked about before that you got more familiar with Darkseid after you got the gig. So once you started learning more about this character who has a 40+ year history,
yes,
did you feel a certain weight of being the first actor to play Darkseid in live action? Because like you're the one who did it.
I know. I became aware of it. I mean, I knew that the character had been voiced previously by Michael Ironsides, by Andre Braugher, by Jonathan Adams, several other actors, Frank Welker, in different iterations, cartoons, games, all that sort of thing. When I was doing the role, the overwhelming weight of being the first live action Darkseid was not something that I could really spend time thinking about, because I had to play the character. I had to play the role. I also was kind of glad that I didn't know the vast history of Darkseid and all of his iterations through the years in the multiverse. It was better to focus simply on just playing the scenes that I had with Kieran as Steppenwolf and with Peter. Because if I brought all that weight and all that history, you wouldn't get the story that Zack's telling now in the moment. It wouldn't feel realized. It's kind of my approach when I was doing Shakespeare. It's like, I'm not a museum, I'm an actor. So I know that, 300 actors have played this role throughout history. But it's the first time I've played the role. So I'm going to focus on what my choices are as an actor in that moment. And hopefully it measures up. And people seem to have received it well. So I'm glad. Lucky.
Yeah, I was. Sorry, Rebecca.
Oh, I was just going to say, Mike has a question in the chat. He said, "What was it like preparing for the role?" So you talked a little bit about your wanting to put your own stamp on it. So what kind of preparation did you do to do that?
Well, the script is written so well that you read it and it's like, I know what I'm supposed to do here. I'm pretty clear on what's going on in this scene. And then it was just a matter of making the simplest possible choices to convey the truth of the text. Preparing for the role, obviously vocally making choices that are sustainable, because you're going to be here all day doing these lines, so you don't blow it out in the first take and then don't sound like you the rest of the time. That's just a technique thing. So once you get that locked, once you get kind of like, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is how I can make this sound right, but also be sustainable, then it's just about playing the part,
Well, I was when we were talking to you backstage, I love your Darkseid, and it was so it's so intimidating. Like when because I can say now I got a screener that I was able to watch a week in advance, and the first time I was watching it, it was very late because that's how excited I was for the film. And the moment you started speaking, I'm like, yep, I am never going to be able to see this film in darkness. So like, I want to turn on my light immediately and just like put on a blanket. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, they nailed it. They nailed it. But I'm crapped out of my mind. So, but this is kind of more of a kind of a deep, serious question and so on. But I can only imagine the frustration and maybe somewhat of a hurt from being told of being cut from the theatrical film. So, I've always been curious from your perspective of how do you as an actor overcome such a challenging experience? Because while Hollywood is Hollywood, sadly, there are still real people that get affected by these decisions. So between 2017 and 2020, how did you cope with that?
Well, I mean, obviously, when you do something and you're excited about it and then it isn't going to happen, that hurts. But I also have been in Hollywood long enough to know that kind of thing does happen. There's an old adage about, you don't celebrate until the ink is dry on the contract. I think you don't celebrate until the thing has gone out on the air or in the movie theater, because you don't know, you may have been cut out of the film. So there's there, over the years, there became a very real thing of like, if I had gotten a role on a TV show or something, I was never big on, hey, everybody, watch me on whatever the show is on Sunday night, because I know that in the interest of time or telling the story, the director and the editor can sometimes, they have to edit, and you can be edited out of something, and then you've got egg on your face when your family and friends are like, but you said you were in it and I didn't see you. And it's like, well, because I wasn't in it, as it turned out. So I was accustomed to that. It was sad, of course. I was very excited about it. I did not see the 2017 release, mostly because, as I've said before to other people, it's like, hey, I know you're no longer on the baseball team, but we're playing a game. You want to come watch? No. And it was a little bit frustrating. And then, of course, the rumors started about there being a Snyder Cut and about Darkseid being in the Snyder Cut. I remember reading a news article online about which A-list actor would have played Darkseid, and all of these amazing names getting thrown out. And I'm like sitting, here in LA, like, it was me, but I can't really say. And then when it was leaked by someone that I did play the role, it was when I was very surprised on Twitter with suddenly a bunch more followers and an inbox filled with people asking questions. And I panicked because, I thought maybe DC or Warner Brothers would think that I was the one who came out and said, no, I played it. So I wrote to them and said, it wasn't me. And they were like, no, we know, it's fine. It's okay. Okay, good. But even then, I didn't know that the film was ever going to be seen. So it was just sort of an interesting kind of footnote. And I didn't feel right saying anything officially about it because A, I didn't know if I was still under an NDA. B, what would it matter if I said that I played it, So when Zack finally announced in that great, watch party that I think everybody's probably seen the video by now, when he presents that, sign of on HBO Max in 2021 and everybody loses their minds. Shortly after that, I texted him and said, this is so great. Congratulations. Can I come out of the closet as Darkseid? And he said, yes, you can. And so that was when I went on Twitter and went, hey, I'm Ray. I played Darkseid. And then the questions started. But at no point did any of the fans, at least on Twitter, at no point did anybody go, well, who the fuck is this? Which I must admit, I was a little, worried about. People be like, yeah, what are you? So, nobody ever was like that. I was very grateful. I was kind of welcomed into this really interesting community of people. And it has been a journey. So I'm just very happy that, sorry, I'll just finish.
No, you're fine. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, please interrupt. Totally. I can get rambling. I'm just so happy that it has been so well received and that Darkseid has met with approval. The Darkseid in this movie has met with approval largely. Because I was a little nervous about that too, It was this, hey, all this buildup, and what if I just suck? And fortunately, I got away with it. Well, I like it. So.
Well, I think for a lot of fans, I'm speaking on behalf of fans, which I shouldn't do, but for myself, I was so surprised that Darkseid had such a significant role in Zack Snyder's Justice League, because in the theatrical version, he's mentioned,
right?
But nothing happens. You never see him. And going into Zack's cut, the Snyder cut, I didn't know how much we would. I thought maybe we'd just see him in the history lesson, and that would be it. But he's a significant part and has a significant role to play.
He's definitely in there. I think you need that to help further Steppenwolf's story in the movie. Only a storyteller like Zack could take this horrible, spiky being from another world who's this terrible villain and turn him into somebody you completely empathize with by the end of the movie. And you're kind of sad the way it turns out for him. Like, people care about Steppenwolf and feel sorry for him. That's great storytelling. And so I think you needed those elements to help further Steppenwolf's story. And I was happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Flash podcast. I mean, I can't speak for Supergirl Radio, Rebecca, so you take the lead on that one. But on the Flash podcast, this is a safe place for Steppenwolf love. So I mean, listen, we're gonna get to that in a bit.
Steppenwolf love.
I'm so conflicted because he's obviously done terrible things, terrible things.
Of course.
Yes. But then he does have that sort of, puppy kitty eye there, and you do have the slightest bit of sympathy for him.
That moment when, Darkseid is like, you owe him 50,000 more worlds. Like, damn. Anybody who's ever had a student loan knows exactly how that feels. It's
a big debt.
Yes. I can now see, for any students watching this, next time you find out how much student loans you have and so on, just bring up a photo of Steppenwolf. Maybe that will help you.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, because I was even surprised how emotional those eyes were, because I always went on, because I remember the concept art that came out for Steppenwolf where he really looked really, really menacing, and he still does. But there wasn't that, I don't want to say humanity in his eyes, because he isn't a human, obviously, but there was still that vulnerable side that I wasn't expecting. And your character in Steppenwolf, really, that's one of the reasons I love this film so much, because even though yes, as Rebecca said it, they do some horrible crap, they are ruthless, but oh no, he's been cast out of his own society. I'm my feels. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, you even in that last exchange with Darkseid, I think that credit both to Peter and to the VFX team, that in those final moments with Darkseid, boy, we're getting spoilery. I sure hope everybody's seen it. But the look on his face when I say anti-life is there, I'm not stopping. I'm getting this. I'm doing this. You can see this change in expression in Darkseid's face of what's coming. The fact that they, for lack of a better word, humanized the beings from Apocalypse, I think is brilliant, because you need to be able to relate to everybody, even the bad guys. It's a masterpiece of a movie. That's just one tiny element in what I think makes it a masterpiece,
What I wanted to ask you next about, when you getting to play this character and knowing his motives and his history and so on, what fascinated you most about him? What makes Darkseid, in your opinion, such a compelling villain?
The purity of intent, the purity of evil, the absolute conviction that, I mean, there's no question that Darkseid is correct in doing this, and single-minded. How do you play a god? Well, you try to play it, I guess, more human, or you look for those human things within the god to try to play the god. It's just the unwillingness to give up, the tenacity, and it's a role that I'd love to further explore because of all of the stuff that that we know about his history, with Orion and with all these other characters. Fascinating being, and really, really fun to inhabit that being for some time. But until life is found, we will stop at nothing.
Yeah, and on that note, I was struck by the connection of anti-life, versus free will, because in Man of Steel, the thing about this version of Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman, is that he is sort of the embodiment of free will. He's not born like the other Kryptonians who are bred to do certain things, and so to have Superman be the sort of the embodiment of free will, and then Darkseid be the anti-life, the removal of free will, I thought was a interesting play there. So why do you think it's so important to have heroic characters like the Justice League be the people in the story who are fighting on the behalf of free will.
Well, I think that these stories, and part of the reason why I've always had such respect for comics, for comic books, and for their writers and their illustrators, is these are really fundamental stories of humankind. I mean, you see this evident in Shakespeare's plays. I mean, Shakespeare's greatest gift was understanding the human heart in such a way that it was relatable to everyone. And I think that the same is true with a lot of comic book writers. There's the, like you said about, Superman being all about free will and Darkseid being the embodiment of the antithesis of free will. There's the three parts of the Hegelian dialectic, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. You take these two archetypes, these great extremes, and smush them together, and what you're left with is compelling, is interesting. And I think dealing in extremes like that is entertaining for people to watch, those archetypes. It's much easier to sort of understand yourself when you can see two very distinct parts of whatever you're grappling with at the time and kind of meld them together. So I really do think that there's Joseph Campbell's Power of Myth, a lot of things in philosophy, a lot of things in religious texts, that sort of stuff that's borne out in stories like the Justice League.
Well, I know you talked about like getting to do the motion capture process, and because again, your character, again, Darkseid is really one of the biggest things that gets restored to the Snyder Cut. With
yes,
I mean, I was not expecting the nightmare sequence with you in it, where like again, and also guys, if you haven't seen this, what the actual F? But like
if you haven't seen it, turn off the podcast right now.
Exactly. Go to HBO Max. You can watch either
version. Watch the damn thing and then come back and see this. Yes.
Yeah. Like I wasn't expecting to see Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman die. Like I'm blaming Darkseid for that one, and then seeing Darkseid literally pierce a trident into Aquaman's chest, and like even though we didn't
kill him with his own weapon.
Yeah. And even though, and I don't know if Rebecca would have been able to handle it, but like we don't see you kill Lois, but we see her skeleton in Superman's arms, and like you take Superman and make him succumb to the anti-life. Can you talk about that process and experience getting to film all that?
Much of that stuff was done VFX, Richard Citrone, CGI, that sort of thing. So especially that particular sequence, Zach described it to me, and I was jumping up and down about it because, wow, boy, I get to really, really be evil in this. This is cool. So I wasn't physically there for the stabbing and and all of that stuff. I just think that it furthers the story. It furthers the archetype. It also sets up what's to come. Lois is the key. You remember what the Flash said in BVS. Lois is the key, and we see why she's the key, because once I have Superman, I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, I have a big gripe with Darkseid for taking out Lois.
Yes. I was worried for Rebecca because I know she loves
understandable.
I'm like, oh Lord, there's a skeleton. Like, I can't wait for Rebecca to see this on Thursday and be like, oh.
Yeah, it was hard to take. So I guess my question following up on that, do you know? I mean, Zack Snyder put out the story for his 5-film arc vision at the Dallas exhibit for the Snyder Cut. Do you know anything more after that? Do you know kind of where the story goes in terms of what Darkseid does?
No, other than the things that Zach has described. No, I don't. But it'd be fun to have a chance to explore them.
So we have a comment from Kevin, who I shared his thought as well. I need prequels and sequels for this Darkseid.
I'd be happy to bring them to you.
Yeah, I mean, because we know that there's at least one film that hopefully we'll see Darkseid in, which is New Gods. And I know you talked about that.
Yeah, there was a thing. poor Ava DuVernay was just beset by tweets. This is way before Justice League came out. Where people are like, Ray Porter's the Darkseid, and I can't imagine the kind of, how irritating when you are a director and a writer and you're putting together a story and to have this going on. So I eventually tweeted, because I believe it, Ava's a brilliant director and should cast whoever she wants as Darkseid. To which she replied, and that was really, that was very kind of her to reply. But if she asked, hell yes, I'd love to do it. But she may be going a different direction. That remains to be seen. And I look forward to seeing what she does with that story, with the New Gods. I'd love to play Darkseid again, of course. But again, it bothered me that the very people who were campaigning for Zack's vision to be seen were trying to affect Ava's vision for what was to come. It's like, let storytellers tell their stories. If I'm a part of that, no one will be happier than me. And if I'm not, we'll part friends. That's okay,
Well, if you were to get that opportunity, are there anything specific that you would love to explore with Darkseid in such a setting? Because obviously it would be so much more set in that world.
I think more fully seeing the interplay between Granny and Desaad and some of the other characters that live on Apokolips. It would be interesting. He's a very interesting character to see. I don't necessarily need to see a biopic of how he got from Uxas to here, but maybe to find out a little bit more about what actually motivates that single-minded, dogged determination to destroy absolutely everything in the universe, to remove individuality. And it'd be interesting. Or if nothing else, just to celebrate in the purity of the simplicity of, I will destroy everything. That would be great too.
But that kind of goes into my next question about, we learn a lot about Darkseid and Steppenwolf's very complicated family history.
Yes.
So even though we don't know what Steppe did wrong to his family and his society, but do you as an actor have a backstory in your mind, like what happened between them, or was that something Zack shared with you?
No, not necessarily. It's anything other than what was in the script at the time. I played what was in the script because I felt that's how I work. I played what was right there as opposed to bringing in those other elements because it wasn't supported in the text. We know that he's a screw up in Darkseid's eyes. We know that he has failed him, I think probably not just once, but many times. I think that there's a certain delight in maintaining the status quo of keeping Darkseid keeping Steppenwolf under his thumb. It's a complicated relationship. And it's funny how Darkseid is the way he is towards Steppenwolf, but fully tolerates Desaad turning around going, I told you.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I was like, Desaad, stay in your lane. That was.
Yeah.
Also, because when you said that you wanted to have, Darkseid wanted to have Steppenwolf under his thumb, I was going to say something really inappropriate. Really, well,
under his foot, really.
Yeah, because I'm like, good Lord, this is the most intense uncle-nephew relationship. Listen,
totally.
Harry Potter and Uncle Vernon have nothing on Darkseid and Steppenwolf.
No, there's some. Yeah, you wonder what Thanksgiving's like at their house.
Oh my God, would anyone dare to eat until Darkseid says listen, you can have the rest, because I wouldn't dare touch I wouldn't even touch
exactly.
I wouldn't dare to touch bread on the Apocalypse.
They're cutting into a flaming planet.
Yeah. Oh, I guess everything would be kind of toasted and kind of grilled, because because everything is so hot there.
And don't mention the stuffing because yeah.
Well, you talked about working with Karen and Peter during your filming. Do you have any fun stories of working with your Apocalypse family that you can share?
They were wonderful guys. They're both terrific, brilliant actors in their own right, and they're also just great guys. A hell of a lot of laughter, more laughter than you would think on the set. And there was one moment, because I admire them both so much in their body of work as actors. There was one moment where they were just shooting me doing stuff, and I did it, and they came running up to me after, and they were like, "Yes, good job, good job." And it was one of the best feelings ever, because when you have colleagues that you admire and they give you praise for what you do, it's a great feeling. There was a picture I took in the golf cart that I posted on Twitter. And that was after we were done filming. And I just remember laughing most of the time about one thing or another. But great guys. I loved them.
Yeah, I saw that photo, and someone like edited you guys so that you
Yes.
look like your character. And I'm like,
the Trinity, I believe is his name, the artist.
Yeah. I was like, I stand this family dynamic. Like, the Zod, who is just like, he's petty AF and just like whispering into Darkseid's ear. Steppenwolf, like, again, I had no idea I was gonna sit there and be like, why do I feel so bad for him?
Yeah.
Like, again, he's slaughtering people and like he killed and so on, but like, look at those eyes. I'm like, damn it, Zach, what did you do? So no, I'm glad to hear that you guys had such a great time together.
Oh, wonderful guys. Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, did you? I guess we were talking about the apocalypse time. I think you had a question about Granny.
Yeah, so we were trying to do some research into finding out who was playing Granny Goodness. So, was Granny Goodness a completely CGI character, or was there an actor in that spot with you all in those scenes?
I think that's an actor in that spot, but I can't be sure. She wasn't there when when we shot our stuff, so I don't know.
So were you surprised when you saw Granny Goodness in those scenes?
No, I had known she was going to be there based on what Zach had told me. I was really excited to see the reactions of people. That first sneak peek you got of her in the trailer, and going onto YouTube, because I loved going onto YouTube and watching the reactions to all the trailers. But people going like, "Oh, this is Granny Good! Oh my God, it's Granny Good!" And freaking out.
That was me in a nutshell, because I missed it. So like when Rebecca, just for the record for you watching, Rebecca is the one I've talked about this film the most with for the past 4 years. So like she texts me, she's like, "Andy, Granny is instead of Snyder Cut." I'm like, what? And I have to like sit down and just like watch it. I'm like,
yeah,
oh my God, that is her.
Yeah, we knew a lot about what was going to happen in the Snyder Cut when we were going into it, but we had no idea about Granny Goodness. So that was a huge surprise to everybody. Yeah. And I did see you had an interaction with Leslie Jones, who had done a lot of great live tweeting and commentary while she was watching it.
With laughter about that thing. I went back and watched that again. That was hysterical. I wouldn't say I had an interaction. I did answer one of her tweets, about like, "Now come to Apocalypse. It's great." Oh God, that was funny.
Yeah, I think she would make a great addition to the Female Furies. I think she'd
be a great female Fury. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh God, when she was talking about like what's this, like, are they using the dark side from the Star Wars? I'm like, no, Darkseid. Like, like again, it doesn't, I know this doesn't sound that different, but no, Leslie, oh good Lord. Zach, if you're watching, you work with her.
Put her in a film. Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very funny. Very funny. Yeah.
So again, you talk. Let's see, because I just want to go through my notes. Anything. One question I did I missed before. Do you remember the first time you visually saw what you would look like as Darkseid? Because I guess that must have been surreal to be like, hey, here's what you look like in the finished product.
Do you know what's funny is I actually knew what Darkseid looked like before I knew I'd gotten the role. I saw a rendering of him on the wall and was like, whoa, that's cool. And then later I was like, oh, I get to be that guy that I saw on the wall. How cool is that? Yeah. But I'm like that. I mean, I'm just agog at what these craftspeople and artists are able to do on a film set. Zach showed me the temple, when Diana's walking around with the torch. I got to see that set and it was just jaw-dropping. People built that in a short amount of time in a soundstage in England. It was just amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of artistry.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's something I would. if I would, if I was playing that role, I would like, listen, I want that art on my wall. Like whoever made that, give me a copy.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is so many people on Twitter have been so great about posting art. I've got a big folder on my iPad filled with Darkseid drawings that people have done. I'm saving all of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, Rebecca, you were wearing one. I think you're wearing a Darkseid shirt.
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that
Hey,
was
good choice.
Yeah, again, T-shirts, Funko. Now, I mean, you were talking about it backstage about the Vita Workshop statue. My God, like,
yeah, what a Workshops rocks. And McFarlane and DC, the DC official stuff is brilliant too. Yeah, I mean, it's really satisfying. It's really cool. I mean, there's a weird duality to it because I look at that and I'm like, look, that's me. I mean, that's not me. That's what the VFX and visual people designed. I gave voice and some movement to that character, but just, for efficiency's sake, I go, look, that's me. It's very exciting.
But that was also you when you were sitting on the front in Cyborg's vision of just.
I think so. Honestly, it's been so many years, I don't remember. They may have shot something like that. I don't remember. Did I sit in a chair 6 years ago? Probably.
or were you the one that put the hand on Superman's shoulder and just?
Yeah. I mean, again, who knows?
So was Henry Cavill the other cast member you got to work with? Because you said since you worked with Kieran and Peter so much.
No. I mean, most of that stuff, like I said, is CGI. So it was literally me and Kieran, me on my own, and then me, Kieran, and Peter. I didn't actually play scenes with anybody, from the league yet.
Yeah.
Yet. So yeah.
If Darkseid was going to fight Superman, because I think a lot of people would want to see that, and they have had some animated fights. Supergirl has also fought Darkseid, which I would like to mention. Supergirl has given it to him pretty well. But if Superman and Darkseid were going to fight, what do you think Darkseid's strengths and weaknesses would be in that fight?
Boy, that's hard. I mean, irresistible force meets the immovable object, right? I know. I know what the Omega beams do. Certainly, with the power of anti-life in him, he'd be able to be. I mean, he would be essentially unstoppable. So, what tactics would Superman use to possibly beat him? I mean, that's the stuff of speculation. I don't know, but I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe the good strategy that Darkseid has to make him succumb to the anti-life equation. Then you don't even have to worry about it.
Well, that's the deal. Is you get the one. There's no lanterns anymore on the planet. Steppenwolf says no protectors here, no lanterns, no Kryptonian. When the Kryptonian suddenly shows up, that's a big problem because the Kryptonian is really the only one who could potentially prevail. All of the old gods are gone now. So he's a worry. And so, of course, you're going to want to get him on side because then you've got this, nuclear weapon. So it's more about strategic, sort of insidious. I'm not gonna try to toe-to-toe fight with him. Why don't we do this? Why don't we, take everything that matters to him and just see if he turns to the dark side.
Good Lord, if we ever get to see that, because we know that what would have to happen first is Rebecca, I'm sorry, but we would have to see Lois die. Like,
I'm okay with it as long as the League succeeds in turning back time and
yes, of course,
that's fine.
As long as she comes back, exactly.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I am. Rebecca, I think you had the next question. I think.
Well, we do have a question from the chat. Speed Force Music wants to know, Ray, what are your personal thoughts about Junkie XL's score?
Oh, I think his soundtrack is amazing. It's wonderful. I have listened to The Will to Power probably more times than is healthy. That's kind of, Darkseid's music, basically. It's the music playing during that brilliant entrance, coming in through the molten steel. But all across the board, I think it's a wonderful soundtrack. And there's pieces of music I hear in my head just going through the day, that are his. So, yeah, what a thing.
Yeah, I think the benefit to Junkie scores, he made everything kind of rise to the occasion. Everything is much more menacing. Even the Wonder Woman fight when she's saving the children was somehow that was much more threatening and dangerous.
No, exactly. What he does sonically is what you would want. I mean, he's telling a story. Yeah, great stuff.
I mean, I'm still tearing up from, like, as someone who talks about the Flash all the time, like, the Speed Force music is
absolutely.
Again, yeah, I rewatched this film, like, I kid you not, like 14 times now.
Yeah.
And every time Barry goes back in time and, like, that music's crap, like,
oh my God, yeah. I mean,
5 years old again, and I can't do
music
that.
When Clark and Lois go back to the farm. I mean, it's just like, oh, come on. Yeah, it's a brilliant soundtrack.
Let's see if I want to look through the chat. If you want to take the next question, Rebecca.
Well, yeah, I have one question. I've dabbled in voice acting. A friend of mine, or a friend of ours, Bill Meeks, does a sketch comedy podcast called The Fakest, and so he writes his own scripts and he edits it, and he has all of his friends and contacts do the voices for it. I basically kind of play myself, but that's here nor there. So I was just curious about your voice acting. Do you have any tips or advice to people who might be interested in getting into voice acting?
The first thing I would say, if you are wanting to be a voice actor, is find somebody who's teaching a class in your area and go take the class and listen to what the teacher says. There are real specific technique things that come into play for voice acting that, even if you're an actor, even if you've done tons of theater and all of that, they're going to seem kind of alien at first. And so I think it's important to take a class with someone who's experienced in that way. I did, certainly earlier in the year. I mean, because you never stop learning. It's challenging work. It's really challenging work. And then, there's a lot of, like, technical things, like, obviously make sure that you're doing something where you can understand what's being said, because the dialogue is the most important thing, not your voice. And take care of your voice. Don't injure yourself. That sort of thing. The rest of it then is just simply acting, playing the scene. What are the stakes and how do you get there?
Yeah, I think some of the best actors, in my opinion, are voice actors, because they don't have anything to play with physically, and sometimes they're in isolation booths by themselves. So I have great respect for voice actors.
Well, it's funny. I mean, it's a funny thing. You don't have a costume that will inform your role. You don't have, lighting and a cool set and other actors to play off of. It's basically just you, and you have to try to fill that. And yeah, that's a little bit of a challenge.
Well, I wanted to ask one of my final questions before we get to one of the funnier bits of this part is that I know, at least right now, we know there aren't any sequels coming, sadly, but never say never. Listen, there were people there were people who said that this didn't exist before we are now, but of course many of us are hoping to see them restore the Snyderverse hashtag. Remember the hashtag. So what would you want to say to those passionate fans who want to see more of this version of the DC universe, and of course more of you as Darkseid?
I would first say thank you. I would second say this fandom and this movement achieved the release of the Snyder Cut through tenacity, but also through kindness and positivity, and to keep the kindness and the positivity going. Be self-regulating. Don't, just because, let's say, another movie, which in this case, there is another movie coming out soon, Godzilla versus Kong, don't go on to their Twitter feed and, like, malign them or try to throw shade back towards the Snyderverse and all of that, because that's just gross. That's, I don't know. That's like painting somebody's wall when you visit their house. Don't be rude. keep the money going for AFSP, keep talking, keep supporting each other, and keep believing, because if there's one thing this fandom has proved above everything else, is that if they want something badly enough, they make it happen. So if you want it, keep doing what you've been doing, and we might see it. I'd love it.
Well, we will never stop believing, and hopefully, again,
cue the Journey song.
Yes,
yes,
the bell has been rung. We're anything is possible. So, but listen, we gotta talk about the fact that Steppenwolf and Darkseid and also the Zod, they have just exploded into memes. Again, me and Rebecca have just been texting each other for a whole week of like, oh my god, did you see this? Did you see that? Yeah. So I wanted to share a couple
Great.
that really cracked me up.
Hold on a minute. Grandma's going to put on her glasses. Give me a minute here. All right, go for it.
Okay, let's see. I'm still a bit new to that. So okay, so this is a clip of. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Oh, we may. Did you share the audio?
Yeah.
On that? Yeah. Yeah, so it says on the tweet, Darkseid and Decide after every call with Steppenwolf. And if you're only listening to the audio, it's just a bunch of guys laughing.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is so mean. This is so mean. Okay, I'm gonna share next one. Again, I need to learn how to multitask better. This was one of my absolute favorites.
Let's see.
So where's the Steppenwolf? Do you take constructive criticism? Not when I try.
Brilliant.
Oh, poor again. It's those eyes. I like Zach. What did you do?
I know, right?
Let's see if this that next one pops up. Is that seeable?
Yeah, it says Decide to Steppenwolf, and then there's a picture that it's like a YouTube video, and it says why you have 0 friends and don't fit in.
Brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal. Gosh, that is brutal. Yeah, Andy, if you want to try the next one, you can probably do it in that same window.
I guess I'm just copying the URL into the tab that I'm streaming right now. The Zod watching Steppenwolf get decapitated from the. I mean, we should have seen his reaction to when Darkseid literally stepped on his head.
Well, you do, because he's standing right there when I do, and then he's like. It's like a non-event. He just turns to Darkseid and is like, I told you. yeah, you did.
This next one, okay, this is gonna because this brings in Viola Davis.
Darkseid after Ares almost.
Oh my God. Yep. Yeah, the tweet says Decide with Darkseid after Ares almost killed him in the history lesson. So yeah, I was kind of actually surprised to see Darkseid pass out.
Yeah, well, Ares. I mean, when you have a concerted, you've got the shoulder cut from Ares. You've got Zeus, who's lightning bolted you unawares. Yeah, he passes out. That's baby Darkseid, though. It's when he grows into his own is. When the trouble happens, he almost got that ring, though.
He almost
did. Oh my God! Like, what would Darkseid look like?
Almost. I've seen some artist conceptions already of Darkseid with a lantern ring, and it's pretty.
Oh, I gotta see that. The next one is another funny meme. The Zod says there won't be any Justice League 2 master.
I've seen
ready the hashtags. We will use the always. Well, I'm also curious, like what the always were. When Dark has said that, like we'll do the old ways.
You actually saw the old ways in the history lesson. It was the Armada arrives and they deploy smaller vessels and invade.
Yeah. Now this Prepare for absolute cuteness. WB the Steppenwolf query.
Yeah, exactly. There should have been a big tie-in, I told you Steppenwolf would die, and if I turn and just go, yes, this is the way, and then walk off with that music playing, that would have been good.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
audio
I love
only
that.
listeners, we're looking at Steppenwolf as baby Grogu / Yoda. So
Yes.
it's adorable, completely adorable.
It's very funny.
And then for the final one, as we get
Yes.
to wrap up, WB said, "We can't use Steppenwolf, Zach. He's too scary. Everyone else, Darkseid, please accept Steppenwolf back. He's sorry. Look at those eyes. He's learned his
I
lesson."
know. I love that one too. That's been great. Everybody likes Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I mean, that's why I was just so surprised about when we see, what we saw in 2017, which we
Yes.
like, listen, Barry Allen, go ahead and like rewind time so that never happened. But like, I can understand like how that was removed, because when I see this, I'm like, I didn't know I was supposed to, that I would care for Steppenwolf like this.
That's the point, isn't it? Though you're supposed to care about everybody. You should feel involvement. In a really good story. Yeah.
Let's see. I know we're starting to run out of time. So
I'm sadly going to have to go pretty soon. But
yeah,
yes.
But before we let you go, just two more things. One, like, what's next for Ray Porter? Like, what's coming up for you in projects?
I am looking at a big old stack of audiobooks that I have to get done. I've done some vocal work recently on a project that I can't talk about. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to everybody wearing a mask and doing what they're supposed to do, and hopefully getting their vaccines so that I can start coming to cons and seeing people and shaking hands and saying hello.
And
that's what I'm looking forward to.
I think, can you say if you're involved with the next Sandman?
I can't really discuss that at this point.
Oh, okay. I understand, absolutely. I had a friend who was like, "Can you ask him?" I'm like, "Okay, I will do my best."
There is more Sandman coming, I've heard, but I can't really speak about my involvement in it. So,
well, before we let you go, as I asked you if you could do this,
yes,
could you do us a little bumper for the Flash podcast?
Yes, you are listening and watching the Flash podcast for the Unity.
Ooh.
Is that all right?
I need a blanket again. I'm wearing a hoodie and I'm still warm. So Ray, thank you so much for coming on.
A pleasure. Thanks for having me. Very nice to meet you both.
Yes, and hopefully there will be a time again. I mean, you're always welcome to come on this show, but I hope there will also be a time where we've seen Zack Snyder Justice League 2. That's a long title. I will happily say as long as it happens.
I'll be glad to come back if it happens. That'd be lovely.
Yeah. So thank you, Ray, and you guys, you can find him on Twitter at Ray double underscore.
Yes, because there's a lot of Ray Porters out there. That was the only way I could keep my name. So yes, that and the Ray Porter on Instagram. I think.
And you're on Vero as well?
I am on Vero as well, yes.
Yes, I will link all of his social media places in the show notes when this podcast gets put up on iTunes. So, Ray, Thank you so much, and we will hopefully talk to you very soon.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye. And that was Ray Porter, ladies and gentlemen. That was fun, Rebecca. That was so much fun.
That was awesome. He's so knowledgeable about acting and voice acting and performance, and I could ask him questions all day. But he's such a cool guy. Yes,
and I'm so happy that we get to do this together. Because again, guys, I kid you not, like this, these 4 years has been, it's been a long experience. There's been a lot of dark moments, leading up to this film. But the movie is real. It exists. Two versions of it. Justice is Great. It's actually out on HBO Max. Rebecca, have you had time? You started watching it?
Yeah, I started watching the Justice is Great version. I have conflicting thoughts on it because I know that for black and white films, like if you go back and watch the movies from the 30s and 40s, they would they had to shoot pretty much everything in black and white. I can't remember when color first kind of came in, sort of at the end of the 1940s, but there was a special technique that they would employ when they would do black and white. They would have to, dye water so it would be blacker and stand out more in the film in black and white. So there were certain things that they had to do to shoot black and white. So I'm a little skeptical sometimes when people just kind of shoot things in color and then turn it black and white. But the thing that I like what that shows is that Zack Snyder's films do pretty well in black and white because of the contrast and the deep blacks that he uses. Not every filmmaker, not every film that you watch does that. So his films actually do translate mostly in black and white. There's some of the shots that I saw that I was like, well, that doesn't work as well. But some of them, when they do, they really pop in black and white. So I highly recommend just giving it a go, just to see Zack Snyder's what he saw for so long. For years he watched it in black and white because he turned down the saturation so that the effects would show, they were a little more forgiving when they were unfinished in black and white. And so for a long time he watched it in black and white. So when you watch the Justice is Gray version, you're actually seeing what he stared at for so long. So that's kind of an interesting historical bit of it when you watch it.
Yeah, I gotta get to watching it at some point, because I definitely, for me, I gotta see what Flash looks like when he's running and saving the world. And just, again, I mean, now we can actually I can actually talk about it, because when before then we had when I done the review, the film was still not out yet. But yeah, him again, I cry every time when he runs back and like restores the world. Yeah, Barry Allen is a god. Don't forget that. Yeah, this was a fun interview, and we are so grateful that Ray had time to chat with us, because he's I know he's doing a lot of interviews and so on. And that's great. I want people to be excited and honor and celebrate him, because again, like, he was amazing as Darkseid, and hopefully this won't be the last time we see him. Because listen, I mean, this is Darkseid. Like, you gotta have him more on screen. And we've seen him plenty of animation. Small certainly tried.
They tried. Bless their hearts. They tried.
Yeah. I mean, the thing was, but season 10, you don't have much of a budget. So, like, the fact that we finally, after 60 years that this character's now existed, or whatever, we're finally seeing him on screen. I don't want them taken away from us. So, guys, keep watching the Snyder Cut and be be positive as you share your wanting to see more of this universe. Like Ray said, like, be respectful. Like, let's not because I know what he was talking about the whole Godzilla versus Kong situation. This is not how it works. I'm excited for Godzilla versus Kong. I've been waiting for that since, I think it was after after I saw King of the Monsters. Like, oh my god, I want to see these two duke out, and like, I want to see this crossover between these other films. So let's because I fully get it, guys. That there's some people in the fandom that they go a little bit too far, but that's why we got to remember that why we here, why do I wear this? Why do we support this film? Because we want artists to get his film out there, and also we want to just celebrate pop culture and these characters. And we can have disagreeing thoughts, but like, we don't. There's absolutely no room for hostility and attacks and stepping out of line. That's not okay.
Yeah. Represent the characters you love in the way that you act and on the internet. And while you're watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, we should mention we didn't get a chance to ask Ray while he was with us, but he actually is in the history lesson. Yeah. He appears as, I guess, kind of as himself. I'm sure he's playing a character here. He's not actually Ray Porter in the film, but he is in the history lesson. And so that was cool that he not only got to play Darkseid, but he got to be, a representative of, him as an actor. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's only so much time and so much you can ask, but I think we had a really good conversation. Again, like, I love, again, like, that there's this Shakespeare aspect to what he did with Darkseid. And again, this, poor Steppenwolf, rest in peace. He will join Kelly Olsen. No, not Kelly Olsen. What's the other? What was the name of Kara's friend, Kelly?
You mean who worked at Catco?
Yeah.
It was Kelly.
It was Kelly, yeah.
It wasn't Kelly Olsen, it was a different Kelly.
Yeah. So maybe they will sit up there and be like, we were so loved. Like, Kelly would be like, so what did you do wrong? I'm like, I owed my nephew 50,000 worlds. What did you do wrong? Like, car ran out of arms.
Sometimes it happens.
That was an intense episode.
Yeah, you talk about people losing their free will. They did that. It wasn't the anti-life equation, but it happened with Myriad and Supergirl season 1.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him like about what he thinks the anti-life would do to the Speed Force, because
that's a good question.
Yeah, because like, even though it isn't a person, it still has a mind of its own. So, but anyway, so we're gonna start wrapping up. But we I know someone had asked me like, when are you and I gonna do our rewatch, our live rewatch, and it's coming. We're again, because Supergirl season 6, the 6th and final season, sadly, is starting on Tuesday, March 30th, right after the Flash. So Rebecca and I, we're, you will see the Flash
tag team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, world of world's finest. Barry is going to be lost without Kara when the show ends. Like, again, that's CW. Just do one little crossover, like Melissa. Like, just have Melissa come over or Gran go over. Just do something, because I'm not ready to, I'm ready to see Kara and Barry in the Flash movie, but we still need some more Gran and Melissa together. So CW, I mean, usually you don't take our request anyway, but like, step up to try. We don't
ask for much.
We don't. I mean, listen. We got. When did you guys get the trailer for season 6? But it was like just 2 days ago or something like that, right?
It was, the full trailer was 6 days before the premiere.
I'm sorry, that's just crazy. The final season, and it's like, I feel your pain, Rebecca.
Yeah. Hurts me deep in my soul.
Yeah. Maybe we should try and find anti-life and use it on the CW.
I don't know. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. I'm not touching the anti-life equation.
I can touch it for you. That's fine.
I'm not good at math, so let's not deal with equations, especially one that removes free will.
Yes, but yeah, we will do something with the Snyder Cut as a rewatch, hopefully very soon. But again, season 6 of Supergirl starts Tuesday at 9 Central on the CW, and Flash still airs on Tuesday at 8 Central. So, but it's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. We got you. We see you. We hear you. We got you. So, but yeah, any closing thoughts on today's event, or anything you want to share with the listeners?
No, I just thanks for everybody who came out. Sorry we couldn't get to all your questions, but thanks for being here with us. And it was good to actually ask Darkseid some questions and hear his opinion on things. And he did such a good job. And the fact that there was so much Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League was such a treat, because I said I had no idea there'd be so much of him, and what we got of him was so great. So Ray Porter did such a good job. So if you like what he did, tweet him and let him know, and encourage the artist and pass that along, because I think he would enjoy that.
And go buy some of that awesome Darkseid swag. We hopefully we can, there's some fan designs we can add to our TeePublic store with Darkseid. There must be some.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
Yeah, but Rebecca, where can people find you on social media? And tell them what's coming up on Supergirl Radio and your other projects that you do.
Sure. You can find Supergirl Radio at supergirlradio.com. All of our episodes are there, links to everything that you might need in terms of subscriptions and information about our Patreon. You can find all over there. We are on all the social media platforms at Supergirl Radio. So we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So if you need us there, we are also active on all of those platforms. I'm on Instagram at The Derby Kid. So if you want to check out my attempt at photography, you can definitely go check me out there. I am also on Vero, so you can check me out there as well. For Supergirl Radio, we're ramping up to start season 6, the final season of Supergirl. So we've made it to the longest hiatus ever in Supergirl history. We've made it to the next season of the show. We're about to review episodes again, which is, it feels very strange to actually talking about the show with new episodes. We'll be doing those live right here on the DCTV Podcast YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. But yeah, so we've been enjoying the live streams and we have a lot of fun with those. We get an occasional cameo appearance by the Lab Cats. If you know Beaker and Bunsen of the Lab Cats, they sometimes will show up and add their input. So if you want to experience more live streams like this one, come and hang out with us. We're going to be on Thursdays now. Superman and Lois kicked us out of our usual Tuesday night time slot. So now we are going to be live streaming Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. So come and hang out with us and talk some Supergirl.
Yeah, there's actually, if you guys go to our YouTube channel, there is a live stream already set up for their season 6 premiere discussion. So you go set the reminder and tune in live and wired because we it's the final season. Not of Supergirl Radio, of course, but Supergirl.
Oh no, we'll be podcasting about Supergirl forever until something tragic happens, I guess. But yeah, we'll be continuing on after the show is over.
Yeah, I can see you, Morgan, being your 60s, being like, have we covered all the comics now? Like, no, we're at the like. I don't know, we still have like two decades left of comics.
Yeah, there's a lot of content, just like with the Flash. They've been around so long. There's so much material to cover.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I will look like if I'm still doing the Flash podcast when I'm 60. Like, they must have done something really, really dope with those characters at that point. But guys, you can find the Flash podcast at theflashpodcast.com for all the latest information about the Flash and the latest episodes. You can email us at theflashpodcast@gmail.com for thoughts, questions, feedback, recommendations, requests of what you want us to talk about on air. We're on social media everywhere at the Flash Podcast. And for me on social media, I'm at Andrewbyte everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Vero, and all that good stuff. And again, today was so much fun, guys. We really appreciate you all participating, and because this was actually, I think this is actually the first time we've done an interview with someone from the movies and so on, and that's something we hope to do more of in the future. I'm picturing a scenario where you and I together get Ezra and Sasha, and just you can talk again. The one actress they get for Supergirl is someone that is on one of Rebecca's favorite shows.
Yeah, huge Young and the Restless fan. So excited for her.
Yeah, have you gone back and rewatched any episodes with her since she got cast?
Yeah, I watched a few scenes just to refresh my mind, but she was on some storylines I was fairly familiar with, so I didn't have to go back and rewatch it too much. But yeah, so I'm very excited for her, and to have that connection of Supergirl in the comics, having been an actress on a soap opera, is just an added chef's kiss bonus. So I think that's really cool.
I mean, the next part would be if Allura gets cast, by maybe the woman who plays Marlena on Days of Our Lives. I
mean, you never write it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think she would be a great Allura, even though she would, we would probably only see her die, because poor them Kryptonians.
Well, if soap opera actors are known for anything, it's great death scenes. So that would be just right up her alley.
Or she keeps coming back from the dead and be like, actually, that was not the real Allura. That was, the Allura stalker. For anyone who watches Days of Our Lives, you will know exactly what that reference means.
Look up the Salem stalker, Marlena serial killer storyline.
Yeah,
it's the best soap opera storyline ever.
Yeah, I did not know that the Marlena would become so iconic for wearing a black hoodie. But there's just, I haven't watched that show in years because I would always watch it when I was sick from school and so on. But when the Salem thing started happening, I'm like, I would be sick when I was starting. Like, oh no, I'm actually not sick anymore. I gotta go to school. But we're gonna find out about the island now. Like what? Like why does everything look like Salem? Like that was so frustrating, Rebecca. Not able to see
good
that.
stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. So, but guys, this interview will be posted on, like, it will be on our channel, of course. But of course, if you want to hear it in audio format, you will be hearing it on Monday. So we'll put it up. But so again, a huge thanks to Ray Porter for coming on and chatting about Darkseid. And guys, of course, go watch Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max. Or if you're internationally, it is on most HBO platforms. And listen, if we're gonna restore the Snyderverse, let's show the studio that we're here. There's a fandom that made this one of the most historically incredible and most important moments for film. Like again, we've never seen this happen. Again, this film was something that everyone kept telling us that it's not real. You're just reaching. Go, stop being whatever. And yet, look what we did. We not only, actually, I want to plug this also before we go. Not only did we make this film happen, but we also use this movement for a great cause. So, if you can, you can go to the Autumn Snyder Tribute Fund on the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, because this film is a tribute for Autumn. And the links will be in the show notes. You can go click and donate, and also go to afsp.org to find out more how you can raise awareness for suicide prevention and how to donate more, and also just become an ally, like raising awareness for this. And for Autumn, do this for Autumn, and for so we don't. So that we, because the world needs to be more educated about this, and that's why I'm so proud to have been part of the Snyder Cut movement, and I'm sure Rebecca is too. Of not only did we fight for artistic integrity, but we really helped raise awareness for this important topic. So there you go, Rebecca. This is always fun. Thanks
for letting me be here.
Of course, and we'll be back for our 4-hour watch of the Snyder Cut.
That's a lot of popcorn.
As long as it's in a green bowl, I will be happy.
In my green bowl in front of my green screen where it looks invisible, I can make that happen.
I mean, listen, that image behind you is just that's the first thing we saw from the Snyder Cut when it was announced. So we're sitting there. The stream is still up from when he announced it. So if you guys weren't there and want to watch that moment, go do it. But again, thank you so much. And guys, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. This was so much fun. And you can catch new episodes of the Flash Podcast and Supergirl Radio on weekly all the time. So until next time, I'm Andy B.
Should I say who I am?
I mean, you can lie. You can pretend you were someone.
No, I'm Rebecca Johnson.
And we'll see you soon, guys. So take care.